At the U.S. side's proposal, the ROK and the United States agreed to make certain adjustments to the duration, scale, and other aspects of the exercise. First, they agreed to adjust the duration of this UFS exercise to run from the 17th through the 21st. Going forward, the ROK and the United States agreed to discuss and implement various measures to achieve the objectives of the UFS exercise and establish a combined defense posture.
And decisive war. Now we are facing a weapons shortage, and there's no shortage of debate either. While the highest-ranking military leader in this country says we're running out of missiles, President Trump denies reports that the U.S. is suffering a munitions shortage, even vowing in a social media post to seek long-term jail sentences for those suspected of leaking information. J.D. Simpkins is the editor-in-chief of the Military Times and Defense News. He's also a Marine Corps vet. J.D., good to see you. First of all, I just want to get your reaction to the president and his accusations of leaks. I mean, Trump's own chairman of the Joint Chiefs says there's a problem with a weapons shortage.
Well, I think it's kind of par for the course with what we've seen with this administration, where sometimes if it's presented with anything that's, a negative publicity or news, that there might be name calling or things like that directed at the news itself versus addressing any of the concerns that have arisen. And we've seen that, with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and with President Trump in the recent days with the Post, talking about that they're going to sort out or seek out leakers and prosecute them. But, simultaneously with claims saying that they have more than enough munitions, more than enough interceptors, would seem to run.
Ukraine is witnessing a dangerous change in the war with Russia. The country is running critically short of air defense interceptors that it needs to shoot down ballistic missiles. During at least 2 recent attacks, Ukraine was unable to intercept any of the Russian missiles. It's becoming defenseless against them.
Позаходьте в укриття, балістика. Тут поранені є?
The attacks have become even more frightening. During them, tens of thousands spend the night in Kyiv's subway, sheltering from the Russian blitz. Ukraine has developed its own systems to shoot down drones and slower missiles. But to bring down Russia's ballistic missiles, it's almost entirely reliant on US-made interceptors, so-called Patriots. But there's now a global shortage of Patriots following President Trump's war with Iran.
That's a lot.
The US has significantly depleted its stockpiles, and it and NATO allies now worry they don't have enough for themselves. Russia knows this and is ramping up its attacks and its production of ballistic missiles. This is particularly worrying for Ukraine because of the winter ahead. Russia will again try to destroy Ukraine's energy system. Last year, it left people freezing in their homes, and this year, the system is more vulnerable. President Zelensky has been trying to persuade President Trump to allow Ukraine to make Patriot missiles itself.
This way you can't complain that we're not giving them enough. I say, make them yourself.
But so far, no agreement has been reached, and President Trump now appears more reluctant.
And how Iran really was able to show all of the cracks within it. Let's put this up here on the screen. The Navy carrier's problems are tied to attacks on the U.S. base early in the war. So basically, on the war's very first day, when Iranian missiles and drones destroyed much of the U.S. Navy base in Bahrain, it had served as the key logistics hub for decades. With that hub gone, along with several other regional ports like Fujairah in the UAE, within all Iranian missile range, the Pentagon was forced to shift its main resupply point to Diego Garcia, which is obviously in the Maldives. So that means 2,200 miles from where the carrier strike groups are operating is where their main logistics base was, as opposed to a few hundred miles. So the reason why then that the deteriorating crew conditions and all of that are linked is because you just have a shortage of base basic supply. It's got to come from thousands and thousands of miles away. And so when you go 9 months without the port, it's because the port they would go to was to Bahrain. So when you put those two things together and you have Diego Garcia obviously being the main logistics hub, you add several layers of logistical complication, even bigger than that. And this makes sense. I kept wondering, I go, why is Trump so obsessed with Diego Garcia? He was constantly hammering the British for like giving it away and changing the treaty under which it's administered. Now it all makes sense, is that we have been so pushed out of those Middle Eastern logistics bases that Diego Garcia becoming the #1 hub for logistics, which again, none of us really knew anything about this, means that for once, you can see an actual forcible retreat of the United States military and changing of logistics is what threw this entire thing into complete chaos.
And